y values that are the same, but our x values are different. So if we plot this, we have 3, 4 here, and we have 2, 4 here. Is it going to pass the vertical line test?
No.
Tanner says no. Why not, Tanner?
Because it was like the other one.
It is. So if I draw a vertical line,
Oh, I thought I was
did it
looking
pass the vertical line test?
Yeah, I was looking at the.
But is that a vertical line? No. So is this a function?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So it doesn't matter if your y values are the same. It matters if you throw in another point and your x values are the same, but your y value changed. Now you're going to have a point that sits on top of each other. And it's not going to pass the vertical line test. No. No, there's not. Okay. Questions? All right, moving on. Someone tell me, how can you graph lines? There are 3 ways. Well, there's more than 3 ways, but we covered 3 ways to graph a line. What's the first one, Alexa? Olivia.
How did you get that wrong?
I don't know how I got that wrong.
There's points of form.
Okay, so that's the equations of line. I want to know how we graph them. So if I give you something like 2x plus 3y equals 4, there's 3 ways that we learned that we could put this on a graph. What's one of them? You could do the intercepts. Okay, and the intercepts means what, Caitlin?
It means that one of the values it sits on the line. It sits on the graph, the x or y axis.
Okay, the x or y axis. And so if I want to write the intercepts as a point, which lots of you lost points on your test because you didn't write them in point form, what does it look like? So if I had an x-intercept, it would look like what?
It'd be number, 0.
A number, 0. It's when y is 0, what's x? Okay, so it's touching the x-axis. Okay, what's the y-intercept? Go ahead, Caitlin. 0, some number. Okay, and this is what you solve for. So you're plugging in the 0 for y to get the x-intercept, and you're plugging in the 0 for x to get the y-intercept. Now, if you don't write it exactly like this, you will not get it correct. And I will give 0 points this time. So we've done this for 2 weeks now, and I've given partial credit, and people are still telling me x equals 2. That's a line. That's an equation of a line. That line looks like this. That's not a point. It's not an intercept. Some of you are saying x-intercept equals 2. Well, what in the heck is that? That's not a point. I want to know what point it crosses this x-axis. And a point is written as an x, y point. Okay? So if you don't have it this way, you're going to get your intercepts wrong. And I won't give any partial credit this week. At ET. You can put b, but you have to write it as a point. Okay? So if you don't want to write the word y-intercept, you can put the letter b. Okay? It's usually a lowercase letter. But it's still written as a point. Okay? All right, what's the other way? So we know that we can solve using intercepts. How else can we graph that line? What was it? 2x plus 3y equals 4? Okay, so we can do it doing intercepts. How else?
X and Y chart.
We can make an x and y chart. And what we're doing is we're saying if I plug in some value for x, I can get a value out for y, and now I can plot them on a graph, and I can figure it out, right? I can figure out what my line looks like. So what points do I typically like you to choose?
-2, 0, and 2.
-2, 0, and 2, because it gives you a nice span across that y-axis. And it's going to solve for what right here?
The y.
The y what?
X.
What's it solving for?
Intercept.
The y-intercept. So you'll get the y-intercept while you're doing it. Okay? Ah! Last way.
Seems like Miss Words.
What's the last way that I can do it? Caitlin knows. We got intercepts. We got a chart. What do you think, Andrew?
Like substitute 0 for one of the.
That would be your intercepts.
Okay.
Alexa,
So,
you can use the what format? Or you can use the slope if they give it to you. So you can say, what did we have? 2x plus 3y equals 4. And if you convert this to slope intercept form, okay, you're going to be able to use your slope to climb. So slope intercept form, if we move this, we would have 3y equals negative 2x plus 4. And if we divide it by 3, we'd have y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. And so we're given, what is this? B. What does it mean?
Wouldn't you have to divide 4 by 3?
Oh, I do have to divide by 3. You can catch me. Okay, what's it mean? What's a B mean?
slope.
It's not my slope. 4/3 is not my slope.
It's your y-intercept.
It's my y-intercept. It means I can graph it right away. And I can say, all right, 4/3. 4/3 is really 1 1/3. So I'm going to put it right about here.
It's so off.
It's so off. It's fine.
Oh, you're
Okay, I know my dot is off. The pen's off,
Yeah,
whatever.
the pen's-
All right, so now we can take our, what's this thing called? It's our slope, and we can climb 2/3. And which direction is my line supposed to be going? Caitlin?
Down into the right.
Down and to the right. Lots of you had the right equation, and you graphed your line as a positive. I don't know how you do that, but you did. So we're going to climb 2 and go over 3 so that our line goes this way. Okay? So instead of climbing, I'm going to go down. 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3. It's right about here. Since my pen's off, I'm not going to try to draw lines. And now we've graphed it. Okay? And once we can graph it in any manner that we want, what did we have to learn? We learned to graph it in 3 different ways. And then what?
We learned 3 more ways to make it point slope and
So what are those called?
Graphing.
They're not graphing because we didn't actually graph them. What are they? They're equations of the line. So basically we're saying, hey, here's a coordinate plane. We have some line. I need to write the equation of this line. I need to know what that equation is. And we have 3 ways to do that. One was y equals mx plus b, which we used for graphing as well, right? What's that equation called? What's the name of it?
Slope-intercept form.
Slope-intercept form. Okay, that was our first equation of a line. What's our second? Aaron?
Point slope.
Point slope. So we have point slope form. What is it? What's the formula? Hunter, what's the formula?
Y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1.
Good. And our third way to write an equation of a line, Caitlin?
Standard form.
Standard form. And the equation is? Who knows? Andrew?
Ax plus by equals c.
And what do you have to remember in this form? What do you have to remember, Jared?
That A and B can't be fractions.
A and B are not allowed to be fractions. Okay? So we can use any of these 3 forms or equations of the line to graph it. But when we want to graph it from one of these 3 things, what are we going to do? we're either going to make an XY chart, we're going to find intercepts, or we're going to convert it to slope-intercept form so we can see the slope and the y-intercept. Okay? So you can use any of these three formats to graph, but those are the equation of a line. It's what this line is called. Okay? Now I want to remind you, because we haven't talked about them a whole lot, my coordinate plane. This line has a name. How do you write the equation of that line, the blue one? What kind of a line is it? Let's start with that. What do you think, Olivia?
It's a horizontal line.
It's a horizontal line. Okay, who can write the equation of that line? There's no math. There's no magic to this. Caitlin.
Y equals a number.
Y equals what?
4.
4 in this case. This equation is y equals 4. The equation of this line is y equals 4, which is why you must write your intercepts as points, because otherwise you've written it as a line. Y equals 4 is a horizontal line. So if I draw a line here, what kind of a line is it, Andrew?
Vertical line.
A vertical line. Nina, what's the equation of this vertical line? X equals -6. Okay? Now, one of the things that we're getting to is that given any two lines, they intersect at what? Where do they intersect?
In this case, in the negative quadrant.
Okay, so they're intersecting in quadrant 2. What do they form when they intersect? These two do because they are perpendicular lines. But what else do they form? What do you think?
Point.
A point. And this point right here, sort of right there, that point is the number what? What point is that? If it was actually sitting where it intersected. Sam?
6, 4.
Not 6, 4. -6, 4. That's what this point is right there. Okay? Now, what this is this is a system of equations. System of equations just means two equations working together, they intersected, and there's a solution, and the solution is a point. So when next week we start doing our systems of equations, we're graphing two equations, and we're finding their solution. We're finding the point where they intersect. Okay?
Will we ever get a line that doesn't have a constant slope, so it's curved?
Yes. No. We'll do quadratics, but we won't do systems of quadratics. Okay.
Is that high school or college?